So, what so many Arsenal fans wanted has taken place. What Arsenal needed has taken place. Arsene Wenger has moved on, and it was only logical that he took the decision. It was him who had to take that step, even though, as you know, he's got a year left in his contract. And the first thing to say is what a legend he is, what he's done for English football, what he's done for Arsenal will remain, and this is very important. Have a look at what the new people of Arsenal, the ones that have been arriving recently, bring to the club. From Sven Mislintat to Raúl Sanllehi, those are guys that have been brought to Arsenal not only because they're very good at the jobs, recruitment, or contacts and negotiating deals. It's because they come from two institutions in Borussia Dortmund and Barcelona that have got a clear identity. And identity is what Arsenal want to keep as a legacy from the Arsene Wenger years. Hence, me not understanding ever why Arsenal fans wanted Simeone, for instance. Simeone is a serial winner, yes, and maximizing the potential of a team like Atletico Madrid, but in a certain style that really doesn't suit Arsenal at all. When fans demand a Simeone, what are they saying? What they're saying is, we want to win, of course. We want to win. We want to get the team to fight. Yes, you can get all that, but you have to do it with the foundations that have been put in place. Foundations that have to fill the stadium, have to keep everybody happy, of course. Comes with dominating games, goals, possession, a lot of things that Arsenal have been recognizable for, but in recent times, you've seen less and less of it. Another thing that will change is the demands within the camp. Yes, quite clearly, Arsene Wenger did not use fear as part of his strategy, but perhaps he was surrounded by too much fear, people that did not tell him the truth as he wanted to hear them, because actually when you sat with Arsene Wenger, when you still do, I guess, he convinces you that what is being done is the right thing. But I wonder if he's convinced himself for far too long, when in fact he should have actually, in the same way that he did it when he first came in, he should have challenged himself and challenged people around him. So the atmosphere has to change. The people are there, enough quality people for that to take place. But of course, next will be who will be leading this, who will be leading this identity that have been left behind. And I hear a lot of names, Ancelotti being one of them, for instance. Ancelotti did very well at Chelsea in the first year. In the second year, not so well, because the demands were reduced. The power went into the hands of players. He's laissez-faire. He's a manager that likes players to do his thing. He actually just manages the groups and the people well, and smells what the side needs, and there's no argument that he can win. But I don't think that's what Arsenal needs. I tell you what it needs, and it's somebody that you all know very well, Luis Enrique. Would he fancy it? He would absolutely love it. Why is that? Because after a year sabbatical, he's ready to come back. He has had all kinds of offers, but some of them, he put so much money on the table that they were rejected out of hand, which is another way for Luis Enrique to say thanks, but no thanks. PSG was certainly one of them. Had contacts from Italy, but I do believe that Arsenal have not made the step yet, or negotiating or trying to get a coach. And you wonder if they're going to be late, because Tuchel, for instance, could have been interesting, but he's going to PSG. In any case, Luis Enrique is available, and he's left himself available because he wants to get the right job. And if he doesn't get it, he's the kind of guy who will go like, you know what, I'll go for a extreme marathon in Australia or something instead. He's not like that. I remember he was asked not so long ago, this is when he was at Celta, if he wanted a Premier League team, and a Premier League team were willing to actually give him a good contract, 3 times more what he was earning at Celta. And he was one of those Premier League sides that were playing good football, very good football, and were on their way up, even though through the years I've not confirmed that. And Luis Enrique, who was just at Celta, had been to Barcelona B, and had experience, relatively bad experience at Roma, said, nah, not interested. I'll rather stay at Celta. He doesn't have an agent. You have to deal with him directly, and we will see what he says if he gets approached by Arsenal. But what I was saying is Arsenal had far too much respect for Arsene Wenger to actually start negotiations with anybody. So right now, what you've got is a list created by the media. Of course, there will be a list of interesting names, but nothing that actually has been confirmed with anybody. That list is not one that has come with negotiations with anybody. Arsenal don't want to do that. They are able to do that, and hence another service of Arsene Wenger to Arsenal, the fact that he's actually telling them now, I'm leaving. Now is a decent time, is a good time. It would have been better a couple of months ago. It would have been better perhaps 6 months ago. But in any case, now is a good time because he feels that the targets have not been met this season. And, you know, there's still things to play for, of course. But it's a good time to start looking for a replacement. So him saying that's it, finishes the speculations, and is another service that he does to Arsenal. Now it will be a time to go out and try to convince somebody. Conte, same as Simeone. What would be the point of that? Yes, a winner, but a winner for a Juventus, for a Chelsea, even for a Real Madrid. A winner in which the style doesn't count for anything. The style, believe me, counts for everything. If you're going to see a football game, you better go to see one that you identify with. And Arsenal have been transformed by Arsene Wenger into something that people will want to see players expressing themselves. And there is quality players there, exciting football. Think of Borussia Dortmund. Don't think of Barcelona. That era is done in terms of what Arsenal could have become. They were never close to that. They were never close to that because it wasn't about positional game, patient game, possession with a particular aim. Arsenal never did that. They had a lot of possession, much more than other English sides, but they were not really a Barcelona-style team. People were confused. What they were is, obviously, they had a lot of talent, and that was the key for Arsene Wenger, bring players with talent, and he thought that was perhaps enough in a world that has changed, where you need much more, you need to know the opposition. And I knew in recent times, players did not know enough about the opposition. There was not enough focus on what the others were doing, and you have to do a little bit perhaps of more of that. Defensive structure was failing, and that was partly down to the lack of discipline of the team, but lack of discipline comes from leadership as well. So when all that starts going wrong, then yes, you have to move on. I insist Luis Enrique would be ideal for it, for the club. He knows the demands at the highest level. He can deal with them. He speaks a little bit of English. He's been learning some more. But as I said, right now, from what I hear, he has not been in contact yet. If Sarri goes from Napoli, goes to Chelsea, that could have been another interesting choice. But I do think that he has to be a young coach who perhaps has had the experience, yes, in Barcelona, so he knows what he can bring to the club. But also he identifies Arsenal as what it is, potentially one of the top clubs in the world. Luis Enrique loves the Premier League, always loved playing in England, sees things in England that he didn't see in Spain, relationship to the fans, how the fans relate to the game. He likes, as you saw with Barcelona, a more direct football. He's not one of those that keeps the ball just for keeping it. There's a lot of things that will help Arsenal to compete better, because he will not be friend with the players, but he will demand of them, and he knows how to do that. In the past, perhaps in Roma, he demanded too much of himself. Now he knows how to retrieve and let others do the talking. Now, if it's Luis Enrique, it will be interesting as well, because his assistants, all of them that he was using at Barcelona, they are at jobs, either at Celta, Unzué, his number 2, or at Barcelona. But some of them have got a clause that would allow them to leave for a price. So let's see if it is him. As I said, all we're hearing at the moment is speculations. If I hear any more, especially from the Luis Enrique camp, I will let you know. He's a very quiet man anyway. I will want to keep everything quiet, but those things, when they get negotiated, there is always something coming out. If I hear that, I'll let you know. It is an exciting time for Arsenal. It is a sad day as well, because everything finishes, but we should not be scared of changes. changes open up new doors. And as I said, there is enough quality in that club, both in terms of direction and in the squad, for things to make a change, a quick change, and in the right direction. Because what has happened in the past as well with clubs like this, with people that have been a long time, next you better sign a manager that fails, because it's better to just, after somebody who's been so influential, it's not so much better, but it does happen that there is a shock to the system, and it takes a while to recover. We see it at Manchester United, we saw at Barcelona after Johan Cruyff, but I do believe that the transition has started at Arsenal, and they are in a good place if the choice of manager is the right one. So we will see. I'll be seeing them soon against Atletico Madrid. Let's see how they react to the news of the departure of Arsene Wenger. Still things to play for Arsenal, and let's see what happens. Cheers.